Hello, I'm so excited to talk about this. I've been wanting to talk about my naturopath journey for the longest time. It's been like over a year, so I think it's about time, you know? I'll put before pictures of what my skin looked before the naturopath and then after. It was such a big difference. I'm so grateful, I'm so happy, and yes, it was amazing. So I will share you everything you need to know. It's very echoey in this room, so I hope it's okay. This was probably the main thing that actually cured my acne and healed my skin and made it so smooth. So I wanted to share all the things that my naturopath went through in order for me to be able to have the most amazing skin of my life. Smooth, supple, elastic, bouncy, and clear. So yeah. The name of my place, I'll put it here, but it is Vitalia Naturopathic Clinic. You can probably Google it. The main doctor is, I think, Dr. Alabi. I don't know how. Again, I'll spell it here. I'm so bad at pronouncing. The first thing she did when I went to her office, I cleared a bit of the background. It was bugging me. But the very first thing she did when she sat me down was ask me about how my skin is it oily, is it acne prone, time frame did I start getting acne. So she pretty much asks about your past skincare history, because then she's trying to figure out the root of the cause. If you change your diet, if you start using different skincare, if your stress levels are higher, if you haven't been getting much sleep, lack of water, environment. So she really dissects and asks a bunch of questions again on all of the factors that potentially could be causing your acne around the time frame that you did start getting your acne. So the very first thing that she wanted to knock off right away, and again, I don't know if all naturopaths are like this, but she asked for me to take right away a Sibo breath test and a microbiome stool test. She was also talking about microbiome skincare, so that could possibly potentially be amazing for your skin and if you were struggling with acne. So the reason why she suggested the tests right away was because so you could only figure out so much just from answering questions, but to actually get the root cause, what was going on internally, the tests are amazing. So she suggested to take those literally the second that I pretty much entered the room, and she wanted to just diagnose the problem right away. So the first thing that also she assigned me was a low FODMAP diet, because apparently if you have Sibo, the low FODMAP diet, it basically helps prevent excess bacteria from growing, because Sibo is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. That's what it stands for. So there's an excess amount of overgrowth of bacteria in your small intestine. I literally just rephrased that differently, but so basically if I did test positive for the Sibo, then I would continue with the low FODMAP. And on top of that, if you do have Sibo, you have to do that as well as antibiotics, because if you take probiotics, that could actually worsen the Sibo and make your acne worse. So that's why it's super, super crucial to take that test before even trying any supplements, honestly. Before, when I took the Sibo breath test, there was a bunch of stuff I had to do. So you had to discontinue all probiotics, which I wasn't really taking to begin with, so I was good with that. And apparently you can't take laxative, magnesium, or vitamin C at least 4 days prior to the test. There's probably a bunch of other things, but those were the main things that basically you can't consume. And then 1 to 2 days before the test, stop eating fiber. So it's pretty hardcore, the preparation in order to take this test. And you can't exercise or sleep 1 hour prior to the test. So this is like crazy, like hardcore stuff. I was just struggling because I also failed my first failed the procedure before I could take the test. So yeah, I had to try like twice to take the test because I just kept messing up. So that was the Sibo test. But when it comes to the stool test, you can't take any digestive enzymes or aspirin 2 days prior, and you can't take any antibiotics at least 3 days before, and no probiotics 2 weeks prior. So I have a whole video down below taking basically both of the tests if you want to watch the whole process, and also my naturopath meeting. She wanted to know if there's like an overgrowth of yeast or too much yeast in the gut through the microbiome stool test. So if I had way too much yeast, then I would look into treatment. But definitely diet is number one. Like it's so crucial in order to take care of your skin internally, for sure, for it to be able to show externally. So basically she assigned me those 2 tests, and then right after she wanted to take me in to do an abdominal exam, which is just feeling up my stomach to make sure it's in check. I don't know, she checked my blood pressure, so she did a bunch of that stuff. Apparently those were both great, so I didn't have to do anything there. But just to expect with a naturopath, they might do that. And if they don't, then you could probably ask them. And so the first supplement she ever prescribed me, or whatever she recommended to me, was digestive enzymes, because obviously a lot of skin issues have to do with digestion. The gut impacts brain and skin health so much, so digestive enzymes were the first thing, just without no-brainer, was the first thing that I started taking. But again, from here, I didn't take any probiotics, I didn't take any other additional supplement, because again, if you do have positive Sibo, probiotics can actually make your skin worse. So again, it was just digestive enzymes. So when I did take the Sibo test, I went negative, so I had 0 Sibo, which is amazing. And then the results for the stool test, my bifidobacteria was only a 1, which is really, really low apparently. Like that's like the very low, basically non-existent. So I had like little to no probiotics in my gut. Then the lactobacilli was 0 growth. So I literally had no probiotics or good bacteria in my gut at all when I took the test and got the results back. And then apparently, again, you can Google this, but I wrote this down. Gamma hemolytic strep was very, very, very high. So apparently that was a really bad thing. So that's like a type of bad bacteria. So after these tests, my naturopath just wanted to balance out my skin's flora and pH. And she also suggested that breaking down nutrients and my overall digestion was lacking the efficiency. And she also wanted to boost up my stomach acids, again, in order to have the best digestion of food possible. So and after I got the results from the test and we actually figured out what the heck was wrong with me, then she started supplementing me like actual stuff to help treat the symptoms. Basically, she suggested I needed to eat fermented food and then added an HMF Intensive Probiotic. I can try to link that down below. Selenium, zinc, vitamin C, beta carotene, and also a digestive enzyme complex. So those were the things that she recommended me. And then in order, again, to reduce the gamma hemolytic, whatever, strep, that bad bacteria in the gut, she recommended this thing called Biocidin. It's kind of expensive. It's like just over $100 or something, but I mean, it lasted me like a year so far and I never had to take it since, really. And this is basically, instead of antibiotics, which is kind of the more natural way of bug killing, and actually more efficient way because it actually doesn't kill good bacteria, or at least, you know, a lot of it, like antibiotics do. It kills the good and bad. There's Biocidin, it targets towards more killing just the bad bacteria, very little good, which is great, and it's more natural. So you just take a few drops of Biocidin in water and then drink it on an empty stomach in the morning. You could do this every day for a week, like 1 drop. Honestly, you don't need any more than like 3 at most. If you take any more than that, then I feel like your skin might get worse because you will start to kill off both the good and bad bacteria. The goal is just to kill enough bacteria with the Biocidin, and then in the evening take the probiotics in order to boost up the good bacteria. So we're killing the bugs and then treating it with good bacteria. And then also when it came to my stomach acids, my naturopath made me take a baking soda test. It's like a hydrochloric acids test. So hydrochloric acid is the natural acid found in your stomach that as soon as you start eating food, for example, you produce hydrochloric acid, which helps break down the nutrients in food and absorb it. If you have low hydrochloric acid levels, then obviously your digestion will be garbage. So in order to be able to check if your hydrochloric acid levels are good, you can take this baking soda challenge. I will read it. So first thing in the morning, you take a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda with 6 ounces of water before eating or drinking anything. If you drink this first thing in the morning, and if you don't belch within 5 minutes, then you have very low stomach acids. Usually it takes about 2 to 3 minutes for you to belch, for you to be able to have healthy stomach acids. And if you belch very, very soon, within 2 to 3 minutes, then you could just take apple cider vinegar instead of the hydrochloric acid supplements, just for maintenance. But if no belching occurs for more than 5 minutes, then you should be taking the beta, like hydrochloric acid pills. So when I first started, because when I took this challenge, it literally took probably almost 15 minutes for me to belch like just a little bit. My stomach acids were so low, like extremely low. So obviously I had to take the hydrochloric acid. When I was taking the hydrochloric acid, sometimes, again, you start small, but you can work your way up to at least 7 pills at once after a high protein meal. Usually the biggest meal of the day, that's when you consume like your hydrochloric acid, usually supper or like lunch. Basically, you take a bunch of hydrochloric acid pills in a row right after your meal or right towards the end of it. And then you're supposed to feel like a little bit of acid reflux. And if you don't feel any, then you can add more and more pills until you finally feel that. And then as soon as you start feeling the acid reflux, by taking like up to 7 pills, again, probably suggest no more than that. Again, obviously talk to your naturopath or medical professional. I'm not a professional, disclaimer. But if you add a bunch of pills and then all of a sudden you start feeling the acid reflux, then you can slowly by day reduce a pill every single day. So then you reduce it down to maybe only taking 3 a day, to 2 to 1, and then eventually none, because your hydrochloric acid levels will be able to naturally produce right on their own. But it was definitely a lot, like all the stuff that she made me do, like the tests, like the trial and errors, the bug killing, all this, again, the supplements to be able to make my skin back on track. Like it was a lot, but also it's so worth it because again, clearly my skin is doing amazing, and that was thanks to my naturopath. In the comment down below if you are confused with anything I just said or want more clarification or want another video. But hopefully this helped you in any way. Let me know. I love you so much, and see you in the next video. Okay, peace.